But also it is very well known that every night they have a huge orgy and it's wild. You can hear them partying and moaning throughout the town. So the story goes like this. There's a town, and in the town, on the hill, as it goes, there's a monastery. And in the monastery, the monks and nuns, they pray very beautifully. But also it is very well known that every night they have a huge orgy and it's wild. You can hear them partying and moaning throughout the town. And the mayor is not so amused. He's trying to, raise some good citizens that, follow the rules and are honorable and all that. He's trying to keep everyone in check, and he has good and noble people around and so forth. And these monks and nuns, they are supposed to sit there and pray, and what are they doing? They're just messing around. So one day he gets upset. He goes up to the monastery, knocks on the door, and asks the abbot, please to, tell him what is up, and please to consider to let it go already with all these orgies and parties that they keep having. So the abbot, in all his compassion, he says, look, my dear, let me show to you what is the big difference here. Let me show to you what's the principle of what we are doing here. So he says, all right, you tell me the most noble, wonderful, pious, centered, settled man that you have here in town. And he's like, well, the priest. We have a priest here. Let's go to the priest. And it's the middle of the night, and the abbot says, all right, let's go to the priest and make my point. So they sneak in, go into the bedroom of the priest, and they spill a big bucket of ice cold water on top of the guy. He jumps out of bed and says, like, what are you guys doing? Are you crazy? You're stupid. He's swearing and taking the water off himself and chasing them out of the room and so forth. I'm an honorable man. The abbot is just silently nodding. Okay, take it in. Now let's go to the monastery, and you pick one of these guys here, or girls, whoever you like, who you think is just the worst of them. Just pick anyone that you think, okay, they are just, they don't know what they're doing. And he points out one. They go in the night. They do the same thing, spill the water on top of the poor little monk. And in the moment the ice water hits the monk's face, it's already rising in deep prayer. Oh Lord, yes, oh. Deeply immersed into prayer. And the abbot is like, look, when you can pray like that, when every moment in your life is a prayer, no matter what happens, no matter if you get beaten out of bed or whatever is going on, then you are free to practice also wonderfully and enjoy all the parties and orgies we might have. Go to our YouTube channel now and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. If you like this video, give it a like.
It's a very beautiful story. And indeed, I hear you and I can definitely take it in.
But.
Before the but. Surprising thing before the but. So indeed, Tantra is very much about the purification of the subconscious through fulfillment. And to take again Ramakrishna, when Ramakrishna would have a desire, he would immediately fulfill it. He wanted to have a silk clothes with gold, with a gold string, and to smoke a hubble bubble, a kind of nargila, like that, something to be very fancy and to kind of lie on the side and do that. So he had some rich devotees and he says, please buy this for me. So they bought him with a golden string and he put on his clothes. He normally was wearing a little piece of rag there and eating whatever was the leftovers from wherever. Very basic. And he put that on and he felt like a big rich man, and he would with the smoking there and felt very nice. His desire was fulfilled for I don't know how long. Not very long, just from the spirit of how he tells it. And then he was completely disgusted by this desire. And he says, well, I fulfilled it, and it's completely absurd. And he takes off the clothes and he steps on it and he smashes everything and he hates it and he's back to his rag. But he says, do like this. Because he's a tantric. He says, if you have a desire, fulfill it. And then you figure it out. Yeah, and it's very much the path of Tantra to fulfill, like you say, the very fundamental needs. Yet the very fundamental needs, it's not now you fulfill every time you want ice cream, eat ice cream. You want Netflix, then you get enlightened. No. You have to go to the essence of the need, and masters could have attained that profound wish for fusion, like Milarepa Ramakrishna and Sri Aurobindo, other tantric masters. They could fulfill this very profound wish for union without explicitly making love. But indeed, this profound purification of the subconscious is the essence of Tantra. You don't need discipline from a certain moment in Tantra. You need discipline on the path, but once your subconscious is clean, there's nobody to fight anymore. The urges themselves, the lion is eaten. The instinctual part, the contracted part is gone. And indeed, this part and the erotic part is very important in Tantra, but there are huge texts which say exactly how to do this, how to fulfill the very deep needs, and how to purify the subconscious without any erotic practices. So if you look at the Shiva Sutra, which somehow entails the entire tantric journey and all the 3+1 possible tantric path or upayas, there is no mention of intercourse. So you can walk the whole tantric path and clear out your subconscious and fulfill yourself in such a profound way that the need for intercourse, you need intercourse, you need to make love because you are separated from the universe. But there are ways in Tantra, and a huge chunk of Tantra, which is not explicitly speaking about lovemaking or explicitly about an erotic interaction, and that can lead you to such a profound fulfillment and to such a profound oneness that the actual lovemaking is not needed anymore. You can go A to Z even without it.
Of sorts.
Of sorts.
No, of course I must agree with what you say because it's true. But what is also true...
What's also true? Tell me. I'm wondering what's also true.
Is that samadhi, the highest ecstasy that we can obtain on the spiritual path, the state of at least momentary enlightenment, the mergence with everything, the absolute cosmic ecstasy or blissful state, is defined as the state of union between the observer, the observed, and the process of observation. So the highest spiritual ecstasy is defined as a state of union, is defined as emergence of the, let's say, so-called opposites, but actually complementary parts that make up the one wholeness of a process that they originally sprang from. You could say that in that way, any act of expansion, which this is the main thing that the tantric path is about, is that our consciousness expands gradually into each and every process that we are engaging in until finally it is completely expanded without any preference into everything. And if you think of a process of expansion, what it means when you reach out and you assimilate the before unknown into the known, it is a process of unification. It is a process not even just, okay, we come closer and then we kiss a little and then we go apart, but it is a complete flowing into one another, becoming one another, melting into one another. And this done sufficiently brings us to the highest spiritual ecstasy, to samadhi, when everything that we observe, everything that is touched by our consciousness is completely unified with us. It is not just, a state of samadhi is when the observer touches everything with their consciousness. No, it's the oneness, the union between the observer and the observed, the union between Shiva and Shakti, if you will, again, going back to that. And then just practically speaking, because that might be a little bit out there, but just practically speaking, even just as simple as coming into the body, coming into the senses and into the now, which is very much a baseline of the tantric practices, that you become aware of your body and your senses now. It's a process that makes you aware of the sensual nature of your body. In Tantra, the senses are called the Indriyas, from Indra, the king of the gods, the highest of the highest being there in the realms of gods. Indra gives the name to these tools, the tools of Indra, our senses. And the sensual experience within Tantra is celebrated as the highest that you could possibly accomplish. Why? Because it allows you to go into that mergence, into that union between you and everything around you. And that unification process is not as maybe when we read it in the book we could think, oh yeah, and then I sit there and then my very spiritual consciousness is expanding and unifying, and that is very clean and so forth. No, it is you becoming something else. It doesn't get more messy than that. It is like a full-on erotic act. It doesn't get more messy as to understood that, as I said before, the particles of my hand are continuously merging with the particles of everything around. Continuously, everything is flowing through me. I'm breathing the universe in. I'm breathing myself out. It is just as messy as a lovemaking act, you could say. And that's why also we are not surprised that as much as the Shiva Sutras might not speak explicitly about an erotic act, is very much speaking about the unification of observer, observed, and observation. And then, of course, some very big texts like the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, one of these great texts of tantric meditation, does point out very clearly to meditate upon the moment of touching of the genitals, of the lingam and the yoni, upon even just the memory of an erotic act can lead you all the way into instantaneous enlightenment. What do you say?
What do I say? Yes, indeed, it's a very beautiful observation, and it's true that every act of perception, and if we see it as such, every act of perception has a perceiver which is masculine, and whatever is perceived is feminine. And the perceiver is constantly entering, penetrating the perceived, and that is indeed a constant erotic act. And from this perspective, yes, Tantra, you can say that Tantra is erotic because the entirety of Tantra is a game of the perceiver, masculine perceiver, Shivaic, Lingam, penis perceiver, and the yoni, the vagina, which is the perceived, the feminine. There is a constant penetration of consciousness into everything, and that indeed is an erotic act.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.